Hey, how's it going, everyone? It's me, Mr. Gibson, reporting once again, live from the ACVCS attic slash storage room slash creepy place. Anyway, so today I just wanted to take a few minutes to talk about apostrophes. Every week we're going to talk about something a little different. This week I wanted to focus on apostrophes. So I hope you enjoy it. We're just going to dive right in. I've set up a kind of a visual aid while I talk about them. Bear with me because I'm trying to incorporate some new technology into this. So I'm going to actually video record my computer screen as I'm scrolling down. So pardon the lack of innovation on my part. I'm really trying to progress in some ways, but it's still a little choppy. So anyway, here is our brief lesson on apostrophes. Go. Okay, we're going to dive right into this. How to use an apostrophe. So the first and most important thing you need to ask yourself is the word that I'm using plural? Most of the time, let me preface this with, most of the time I've seen that we have a problem with not using apostrophes. But I'm going to start out by saying when you should not use an apostrophe, and when you don't need to, I guess I should say. So if you know that the word you're using is plural means more than one. So for example, I saw two kittens. Notice there's two kittens. Meow meow. Riding a goat. Goats in general are great for transportation. So these are plural forms of the words kitten and goat. Then you don't need an apostrophe. But there's two exceptions to that. The first exception is it a single letter word? A single letter word meaning this T right here. That counts as technically a single letter word in this sentence. There are two T's in kittens. So you would put an apostrophe there. There are two T's, plural, but since it's a single letter word, you need an apostrophe. Otherwise, it's t's, which doesn't make any sense at all. There are two t's in kittens. You need that apostrophe to show that the single letter word says its name. Second, you could also do this. You could put, in quotation marks, because technically, if you don't count T as an actual word and you want to put the quotation marks around it, it shows that this is an unusual form. Second, is it a number or an abbreviation? So in this example, we have a number. 90s fashion was a bit awkward. Just say no to hammer pants, right? So there's a number. We put an apostrophe after it. Or if we're using it as an abbreviation, for example, I attended college in the late 90s and early 2000s. So then we put the apostrophe in front of it because we are abbreviating off the 1990s. See that? Okay. So as a general rule, if it's plural, does not require any apostrophe to separate that S or to accompany the S on the end, unless it's these two exceptions right here. Moving on. Is it indicating possession? Then you need to use an apostrophe. So, possession means you own something. Bob's hat. So, Bob owns a hat. Bob's hat was made out of jelly beans. So that's his hat. But you need to watch out. Is it plural and possessive? For example, the soldiers' rifles were no match for Bob's amazing lightning pants. So, do you notice here, the soldiers, there's more than one soldier. So then, in this case, instead of putting the apostrophe directly in front of the S, we put it directly behind or following the S because it's a plural possessive. Make sense? All right. Now, down here it also notes that unless it's a word that's already been converted into the plural form, like children or women or men, then you need to put the apostrophe directly in front of the S. Contractions. Contraction, traction, what's your action? Anyway, is it a contraction? Then you use an apostrophe. A contraction is when you omit a few letters. For example, can't, don't, wouldn't. They used to be cannot, do not, and would not. So I cannot or I can't believe you fit that entire watermelon in your mouth. I don't like putting honeybees in my underpants. I wouldn't recommend scuba diving inside a volcano. Right? So if we are contracting the word, making it a contraction, then we need to put an apostrophe, because the apostrophe fills in the gaps for the O's typically here, and it makes it so we don't have to put these double N's, and we combine the word, so it makes it one word. Can't, don't, wouldn't. Those are contractions. They don't always have to be negative in context. You could also say we're, like we are, so you do put an apostrophe because that's a contraction. We're going to the store. Anyway, moving on. So the it's, ooh, this is a biggie here. So it's, as a general rule, you can know which it you need to use, which it. It's with the apostrophe. You only use the apostrophe if you are trying to say it is or it has. So then you use an apostrophe. For example, here we go. It is. It's unusual to put crickets in your coffee, but I do it anyway. Or, it's been a fun day, meaning it has. It's been a fun day. We should go to the Velociraptor petting zoo more often. Right? So if you can stop yourself and say, wait, could I use it is or it has in this? If so, you can put an apostrophe there and make it its. But we use it's without the apostrophe if we're indicating a possession. So if you're unsure, simply try replacing it's with it is. If it sounds okay that way, use an apostrophe. But, like I said, if you're indicating possession, then don't use an apostrophe. So, for example, the Velociraptor is known for its cute, playful nature, but its inability to sing in key is unfortunate. So, can we replace it? Let's try it. The Velociraptor is known for it is cute, playful nature. No, that doesn't make sense. But it is inability. No, it has. No, nope, doesn't work. So it's without the apostrophe. It's. Got it? Good. Moving on. Is it a possessive name ending in S? Now, when we deal with S's, or when we deal with names, I've seen, for the most part, many of you are doing this correctly. Just a little recap. So, if it's a possessive with a name, Charles's rocket ship allowed him to have lunch on the moon. Or you could do it this way. Charles' cat is always terrified during liftoff. Both are acceptable as long as you're consistent. If you start flipping these around, then I'm starting to be confused as to whether or not you're meaning what you're meaning. So either of these are appropriate. If the name ends in an S, you can either just put a single apostrophe on the outside, or you can put an apostrophe S. So, but you need to be consistent. Is it a possessive and plural name? Then you need to stick it after the S, meaning the Johnsons. And the Johnsons is all that's coming to mind right now. So that's what I'm going to use. The Johnsons' Moon Witch recipe was very famous. In this case, you're referring to the entire Johnson family. So this isn't just Charles. So you can't put the Johnsonses. No. You can only have to stick it. You only can stick it after the S if the last name ends in an S. Right. Moving on. So to recap, remember that most apostrophes are used for possessive nouns. That's kind of what they mostly teach us or taught us when we were in elementary, and that's what you're learning, if you're in middle school. But there's many other ways, as I've pointed out, that you can use apostrophes. So if a noun owns something, use an apostrophe. Don't just, try your best to use apostrophes correctly. For example, Bob's jelly bean hat became sticky in the scorching sun. Bob is sad, right? Or use it for contractions. Bob's going to the store to create a bacon hat instead, which in my opinion is the better choice. And if it's plural, don't use an apostrophe. Remember, there's only 2 exceptions, and they're very limited. The single letter word and the numbers, or the abbreviation of numbers. So for the plural, we don't need an apostrophe. Bacon hats do not melt, and they smell wonderful, which is true. I have one at home. But as a general rule, when in doubt, we're using apostrophe, and I say that because if you're just throwing out apostrophes, it can change the meaning drastically. Typically, I can tell when I'm reading your writing in context. Oh gosh. Typically, I can tell when I'm reading your writing in context when there should be an apostrophe and when there shouldn't. But if you start throwing them around, it's going to start confusing the reader. If you don't know where they go correct, or if they don't know the correct way they go. And so try your best to practice these or to get more familiar with apostrophe usage. But as a general rule, if you have absolutely no idea, just don't use an apostrophe. That's not to say don't try. It just means if you have no idea and you're doubting yourself and you're wasting hours and hours in your writing on apostrophes, just move on. So I hope this helped you out. Yeah. Every week I'd like to do these things just to kind of enhance your learning experience. So if you have any questions on any of this material that I talked about today on apostrophes, or if you have any questions about some other any other of the conventions or English terminology, please let me know, and maybe I'll make a video about it sometime in the future. So hope you have a great week. Let me know if you need any help with anything. That's what I'm here for. So we'll talk to you later. Bye.